astrologer ran large parts of the United States government and got paid privately for this purpose. Mrs. Quigley said that over 7 years, she issued guidance in exchange for money that went far beyond mundane scheduling to matters of diplomacy, the Cold War politics, and even the timing of the president's cancer surgery. She said, I would participate in a more intimate way than the publicly recognized insiders of the greatest importance. This was exposed, of course, by Don Regan, not happy for being scapegoated for Iran-Contra. Oliver North and George Bush, the elder, should have taken the fall on that, but they scapegoated Don Regan. He got back by exposing Nancy Reagan. New York Post, astrologer runs the White House. That's about right. And think about any more Republican presidents, you're going to have heavy inputs of this type. So that's her story. But let's look at this Ebola. Big media exposure this week for nurse Casey Hickox. I think this woman is narcissistic, quite possibly mentally disturbed. But the point is that she is the graduate of an elite program for intelligence officers of the Centers of Disease Control. I think it's called the Epidemic Information Service. She's a graduate of advanced training in that area. And she's also linked to Médecins Sans Frontières. That is a highly politicized organization itself, MSF. You may remember the interventionist French Foreign Minister Bernard Kouchner. I think he was still around for the bombing of Libya, wasn't he? Kouchner, also, he'd been one of the founders of this thing. So now this woman arrogates to herself the idea that she can decide whether quarantine measures are in order or not. Now, there is no doubt that American states have quarantine powers. These have been used traditionally over time. It is interesting that Casey Hickox says, I am the victim of all this. Well, actually, the Africans are the victims, and then other people who have actually gotten it, those are the victims, not Casey Hickox. And she talks about stigma and that she doesn't want to be a pariah. This is absolutely off the charts. Any serious, trained public health official or caregiver knows that quarantine and or isolation are normal, routine aspects of public health. And the idea that she makes a public spectacle of herself, insisting that for these few days she be allowed to cavort into, God knows, restaurants, public libraries. You have to figure that any establishment she visits is going to be closed down. We're told that the hospital where she works is getting phone calls saying, we want to know if she's going to be there, because if she's there, we're not coming. This extends to her local pizzeria. The internet has it that her lawyer is also from the Centers for Disease Control. I would tend to regard her as a kind of Jessica Lynch of the current situation. Remember, the idea of Anglo-American propaganda is always little people. You've got to have a concrete person who embodies the thesis, because many people cannot relate to abstract ideas, only to people. Jessica Lynch was produced in such a way. Casey Hickox is now being produced, and I'm really wondering, is Jerry Bruckheimer on the case? Quite interesting to find that out. What she doesn't seem to understand is that there's an objective side to this and a subjective side. For her, there's only the subjective side, radical subjectivism. I don't want to be confined. I am the victim. I'm a narcissist. Again, I think this is pretty unstable mental processes. But the objective side is really what we have to look at. The goal of public health is to prevent certain disease microbes from entering the population in question. If you can keep them out, you want to try to do that. And I would ask her, if you're willing to go to Africa and risk your life in an admirable humanitarian effort, compared to risking your life, what possible significance is there in being invited to take a 3-week vacation, which for her by now is down to a 2-week vacation? 2 more weeks from today, Halloween, she's out of the woods. She's free and clear, no problem. It's unfortunate that the traditional public health standpoint has to be defended by somebody like Christie. We've made clear here our contempt for him, or Governor LePage of Maine. We're hoping to see him voted out of office if that third-party stalking horse can be swept aside after his pathetic press conference this week. But you get the idea. U.S. troops coming back from not treating people, staying away from victims of the disease, but the Pentagon is quarantining the troops, isolating them for 21 days.